So if you're wondering why your clinic is not fully booked, then I have some news for you. It's likely not a marketing problem. It's probably a positioning problem. And that's what I want to get to in today's episode as we talk about getting clarity on who you want to serve and the steps that you need to take in order to do that and how that's going to help you to achieve more of the outcomes that you're looking for. Welcome to the Business of Hearing podcast, the #1 marketing and practice growth podcast for high-performing private practice hearing care leaders. My name's Ollie Luke. Pull up a chair, pour yourself a drink, and let's have a chat. So welcome along to another episode of the Business of Hearing podcast. Let me share a conundrum with you, because nearly everybody, if you think about how people start businesses, right? Startup 101, it's get really good at something that you can turn it into a business yourself, become a really good plumber, become a really good painter and decorator, and then eventually start your own business. Or option 2 is spot a gap in the market and then try and develop a product or service to fit the market. And now it's interesting, like that is the way nearly all businesses start. It's become really good at something so I can do it myself, or find a gap and then look to fill that gap. But what is interesting is both methodologies are focused on the doing. It's what is the product and service. And the problem with that is many of them will develop the product or service and then go, okay, I've got this. Now, who are my customers? Who is this for? And my belief is that needs entirely flipping. Instead of asking what and then who, ask who and then what. Let me give a little bit of background and context to this, because I've dived straight into this. But this is a topic that I think is like the monumental starting point of all marketing and business success. Because if you look at every other industry in the world, everything breaks down into 3 categories. You have mass market, you have niche market, and you have luxury market. Now, mass market is your everyday Joe blogs, people who make buying decisions based on logic over emotion. And if you walk down the street, 70% of the people there would make a decision based on how much is this worth? How much am I willing to pay? What is the logical buying decision? You then have the niche market, the ones that have a passion around something so much that it sways their buying decision to the point that they buy through emotion. So they may be they may love their dog so much their dog's part of their identity. And as a result, they would spend significantly more for something for their dog than what logically would make sense, if that makes sense. Or they're so into fitness that they have an identity around fitness that they'd spend a lot more on a specific jump rope or skipping rope than an average person would because of their passion for the topic. And then you have the luxury market. These are the people that make a buying decision entirely based on emotion. More to the point, it's built on status and self-imposed belief system on who they are. They've got to make a buying decision to play to the narrative of who they say they are to themselves in their head. Like that is how every market splits. So any product or service in the world, the people that buy it fall into one of those 3 categories: mass market, niche market, or luxury market. And there's prime examples of this, right? Obvious ones would be a watch. You could go on Amazon, you could buy a watch that will tell you the time, sit on your wrist, work, and look relatively nice for $30. It's going to do everything a watch needs to do, and that would be the mass market option. People in the mass market would look at that and go, I need something to tell me the time, to sit on my wrist, to do the job. $30 feels reasonable, I'll buy it. You then have the niche market. Well, what about the people who really conscious of, we'll use health. They're really conscious of their health. They want to know what their heart rate variability is. They want to track their sleep. They want to track their workouts. Well, they'd happily spend $500 on a watch because it's going to give you their resting heart rate. It's going to give you that heart rate variability. Stats that nobody understands, but all of a sudden they want to know these numbers so intently. And then you have the luxury market, the people who spend $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 on a Rolex watch. Fully for status. Like, in fact, wearing that is more of an inconvenience. The risk of damaging it, the risk of it being stolen. It's so, the mass market one makes so much more sense for normal people like you and I. But people will happily queue up, be in a line, deal with a demand to buy a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 watch that tells them the time. Like that exists in obvious markets like watches, like clothing, like jewelry, like cars are an obvious example. Your mass market car versus the 4-wheel drive that's 5 times the price in the mass market versus the Rolls Royce, the Bentley that is going to give you ultimate luxury for the status focused 1% luxury market. But it breaks into everything, like chocolate bars. Like, you can go and buy a chocolate bar for $1 that is chocolate, it's a bar, it's tasty, it delivers on its objective. You'll get people who spend $4 or $5 for a bar because it'll be a chocolate bar, but it's got 20 grams of protein in it, and it's a protein bar because they're gym obsessed, they want to hit protein targets. It's the niche market. But then you'll have people who will happily spend hundreds of dollars for chocolate because it'll come in a wooden box and it will have a backstory and a narrative to it, and it's all packaging, presentation and story that is not just for them to eat on their own watching Dumb and Dumber on a random Saturday evening. It's something they'll have on the table when guests come round because it plays to their status. But it's interesting to look at how this breaks into nearly every other market. Like, you've got mass market, you've got niche market, and you've got luxury market. The challenge is mass market is very difficult for profit. Like, you look at the watch that's for $30 that I spoke about. You look at the chocolate bar that's $1. Like, they've got to sell a lot of them on a very, very skinny margin in order to make any significant money. Take the watch for $30. By the time that's been produced, created, developed, shipped, and then with Amazon's free shipping, it's in the hands, like, we're talking dollars profit margin. And we're talking very, very small. Like, they've got to sell thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of watches in order to make profit. But you look at that niche market where they're selling a $500 watch, or the luxury market like Rolex, who will sell a $50,000 watch. They're making big margins. Like, I think Rolex's margin is about 50%. And Rolex are a mad company, right? They don't innovate. They don't build anything with machines. All the watches are still handcrafted by the same master mechanics, or whatever they call them, craftsmen in Switzerland. Like, it goes against all logic as a business, but like, they make the large lion's share of profit. And going back to what we spoke about, right? What Rolex didn't do is say, we're going to make a watch and then we're going to decide who to sell it to. They started with the who. They defined their market and then built the product and service for the market. Now, coming back to us as hearing care clinics, this is something we have not done well, right? We've done the opposite. We've gone, we're a good audiologist, or we've seen this area and it doesn't have a hearing care professional. We're going to open a practice in it. And then we go, okay, we've got the what, we know what we do, we know the products, we know the service that we offer. Now, who do we do it for? Oh, anyone who wants us, anyone with a pulse and a credit card, like, we'll help them. Now, my encouragement to you is flip the other way, especially as the market grows with the boomers coming in, especially when we're seeing Google's AI mode now mean that they're building preferences on their user and looking for right solutions for them. Like, you need to get specificity on your who. If you can get really, really clear on who are the types of patients that we want, then the whole game becomes a lot easier. Because if you know who you're trying to write to, who you're trying to appeal to, then the messaging in order to speak to them, the marketing in order to speak to them, even how you reach them is majorly simplified. And it all starts with getting definition on your who. You know who that who is. You can then explain all the reasons that you're the logical choice to help them to achieve the outcome they're looking for. And you can even develop the evidence that you know they would need to see in order to know that you're the fit for them. Because if your hit is if your who is a 62-year-old CEO, then the story that you need to tell them is going to be very different than if you just want an 85-year-old who wants to maximize their insurance benefits. So, like, getting that 62-year-old CEO, you know what they want to read, you know they're looking for convenience, preference, expertise, somebody that will work around their busy lifestyle. And if you can develop the evidence of his 20 other CEOs that we've allowed to get more from their career, be better in meetings, work longer, produce more from work as a result of being able to hear better, like, you have just nailed it, essentially. But defining your who is a bit of a puzzle. And here's how I'd look at it if I was in your shoes right now is, we'll use a Venn diagram. Like, let's keep this very visual. Use a Venn diagram. And I'm going to give you 3 questions that I want you to answer. And my hope is the answer to each of these is the same person. And if it is, you've got your who. Question number 1 is, what type of patient out of all the patients you've worked with gives you the most money in exchange for the least amount of resource? Like, who is the patient that is the most profitable to you? That's question one. Question two is, who are the patients that just fill your heart from working with? The patients that you could just work with all day. You go home at the end of the day, you feel happy about the day, you're energized, you feel good from helping those types of people to achieve the outcome they were looking for. And then number three is, who are the people that you just know you're uniquely qualified better than anybody else to help? Now, my hope is out of those three questions, the answer is the same. And if it is, congratulations, you have just defined your who. You've got very clear specificity on exactly who you need to be focused on and build your practice around. There is a fair chance that it's different answers to each one. The patients that are worth the most to you will be different to the patients that you love working with, will be different to the patients that you know you're the best in the world at helping. My encouragement to you, if that is the case, is choose your poison. What do you want? Are you looking to maximize the revenue of your practice, to maximize EBITDA in order to sell in the near future? And revenue and profitability is very, very key to that. Are you looking to ensure that you build something that can last decades and you want something that you just love doing every day? Which will be question two's answer. Or are you looking for something that gives you recognition and reward for the expertise that you have? And if that's the case, then question three's answer is the right one. But depending on what you're looking for, get clear on your who. Because once you get that, everything else becomes a lot simpler. Once you have that, you can tell the right story, you can appeal to it, you can give the evidence that who is looking for. And in a world where specificity is becoming more and more important, and we're seeing that more and more with how AI search is coming through, you're going to stand out to those types of people and fill your practice with those types of people. Now, one of the conundrums I hear when I suggest practices do this is, well, I'm running a practice today, like I can't just sack all my patients off. There is a process to this, right? You're always running two businesses. You've got the business you're running today, and you've got the business that you're building. Know that that gap will close. The business that you're building, when you tell that story and start to attract those types of patients, it will slowly phase to being all those patients, but it's not an overnight process. It's not a 12-month process. This is probably a long-term process. But what you're going to stop attracting is more of the types of patients that don't particularly fill up your cup or allow you to achieve the outcomes you want right now. And you start attracting the ones that you want, which slowly replace the ones that you currently serve that have helped you get to where you're going right now. So start with who. Follow that exercise. Get specificity. Please don't try and appeal for everyone, because it was okay for the generations that we've served in the past. It got you through. And you knew you had to deal with a little bit of everyone, and no day's the same. But if you want to build the practice that is going to win in the future, given how specificity, given that we've got 72 million boomers coming through, given the fact that AI search is resulting in people being given a solution around their unique preferences, and Google or ChatGPT is going to have to read and understand who you're for and what you do, not just what you do, it's going to significantly help to be clear on your who. So I hope that's helpful. As always, go and do it. If this is just you watching for entertainment, like, there's a lot more entertaining things on the internet than me. I'll be very, very clear on that. Like, please take action on this stuff. Get the outcomes. Then let me know when you've made some progress, made some extra money, built a practice that you love running. But I appreciate your time greatly. I'll be back again next week with yet another episode. Speak to you then.